Good afternoon from Sacred Space at Titania's Realm. It's the 1st of June, a pinch and a punch for the 1st of the month, am I right? Well, no violence is allowed at Titania's Realm. Just sweet love and creativity and manifestations and joy and delight. It's 4:38 p.m. I'm a little bit disappointed and frustrated. You can probably tell by the look on my face. It's the undercurrent of I've been working on my cuff since about midday and 1 o'clock-ish. Keep failing. Can't get those embellishments to solder down. So I went back in and polished the metal a bit more, try and get it flatter and smoother, and then I tried again, failed again. So I don't know. I've melted another bit of gold again. Oh dear goddess. Which means I have to go and melt it down properly and stamp it out again, file it and saw it. After I finish that cuff, I'll be an expert at filing and sawing teeny tiny little dots of gold. It's starting to feel crazy. I'm even thinking, now that I've just formed the butterfly shaped base for the soldering down, just leave it like that. But it's not what I wanted. I wanted my little gold embellishments down, soldered down. So can't give up, can I? I feel like giving up though. It's been a lot of failure. But every time I get despairing, I get another, my muse kicks me along again. Sometimes in a week or two or a day or two it works out. So I can't fall into despair, because I did that a couple of weeks ago. Had a full-on breakdown even in front of my YouTube audience. So distressed I was. I'm not distressed, I'm just annoyed and frustrated and wasting gold too. I don't even know why it melted. I didn't even have that much heat on it. It just shows you I'm going to have to wait until it's a lovely sunny day, put the little birdies outside, because I soldered at my outside soldering station with my orca torch, and you can't see how much heat outdoors. It's hard to see. I must have had too much heat. So I'm going to have to do it on my little Smith torch with the tiny, smallest nozzles, and just be very quickly in and out like a blue-ass fly, and maybe it'll happen. But I'll have to wait for a sunny day. The weather did improve slightly today, but it was still very cold and sort of murky. It wasn't a good day to put the birdies outside. But the next nice day that comes along, even though it's winter, I'll put them outside and I'll finish that bloody cuff once and for all, people of Earth. I'll solder down those embellishments and it'll be fabulous. Manifestations. Oh, look, I've got it this far with lots of breakdowns and failures, so I've got it this far. It's ridiculous that it's just such a little tiny thing that's stopping me from completing it. The little tiny gold things. It's just absurdist that I can't do it. I've done everything else, and some of it was much more difficult. I don't understand why I'm self-sabotaging or why I'm having so much difficulty. It's odd. It's odd. But anyway, I've spent till about half an hour ago grinding down, trying to smooth the silver out so I can have something for it to solder to. And hasta mañana, we'll try again tomorrow maybe, if it's a nice day. If not, I'll put it in a drawer for 6 months, forget about it, try to forget about it because it'll grind my gears if it's not finished. But look, yesterday I made a video showing you that I finished off little tasks that had been waiting to be finished for 3-4 years. So typical Aries, I'm quite capable of putting projects aside and forgetting about them and then suddenly getting a whirling dervish frenzy to complete them as if my life depended on it. I'm like that. So yes, but I just kind of don't want to put it away for a few years, you know. I just want to finish it, set the stone, wear it in relatively good health, people of Earth. Oh, I was unwell last night, by the gods. I worried because I ground down all that metal. I worried that I'd inhaled too much of it because I didn't use a mask, and that was stupid of me, quite frankly. Very dangerous. So last night I kind of got all panicky about how much metal particulate might be in my lungs, and then I was peeing all night, and then I was anxious about that, and I actually genuinely didn't feel well. And then I had insomnia. I should have just bloody gone dancing, danced all my anxiety, burnt it all off like a supernova, superstar rocket going to some other paradigm or orbit somewhere. Sometimes it's really what I need. It's my body remembers, you haven't gone dancing this Friday. Last night was Saturday. Threw a tantrum. 2 a.m. Got all frenzied. So do you know what I did? I did something really unusual. I got up and I drank mullein tea just in case, because that helps drive any crap off the lungs. And I didn't cough anything up, so obviously I was worried about nothing. And as I do sometimes with my anxiety, it's a bit bizarre, people of Earth. And then I decided at 3-ish, 3:30 I think it was, I'd given up. I knew I wasn't going to get much sleep. I'd had my CPAP on for 3 hours and I'm backsliding with that too, 3.4 events an hour, that's a lot. So then I got upset about that. I thought, well, what's the point? What's the point in even trying, you know? Might as well just find a fucking bridge and jump off it. Don't take me seriously about that, okay? It's just how my mind goes when things are fraught and awful and difficult. My mind immediately goes there. It doesn't mean I'm going to act on it. But anyway, 3:30 in the morning, I'm sitting there thinking, well, this is fucked, isn't it? So I drank my mullein tea, and I was feeling quite weak actually. I thought, you know what, I'm probably hungry. So I had dinner, but I didn't have a lot to eat. So I put some soup that I'd made a couple of nights ago, took it out of the freezer and heat it in the microwave. I had chicken soup at 4 a.m, devoured it, enjoyed every scrap of it, filled my tummy up, and then decided I might go back to bed and see if sleep might actually happen now. And it didn't for a while, it took a while, but I fell asleep. Must have been around about 6 a.m. Woke up at 8. Said to myself, are you serious, Tanya Aarons? Are you fucking serious? Went to the loo, went back to sleep. Woke up at 10:40. So, what's that? Almost 5 hours. I scraped with some kind of rest, but anyway, I felt a bit guilty because the birds had been kept in the dark in their room till 10:40 in the morning because of my weird nocturnal insomniac aberrations. By the gods. But anyway, I let little Kermie, I let little Bo out to have a bit of a fly around, and he freaked out and flew into what used to be my mother's but has been mine since 2008. Beautiful carved mother of pearl shell, this beautiful intricate carvings, which I really loved, and he smashed it. I'm not mad at him. He's a little bird. He doesn't know. He doesn't know the value of things. It's just unfortunate that I stupidly didn't think that he might knock things down, which I don't know what's wrong with my brain really. There's that many things in that room that he could damage and kill me. Why am I letting them fly around in there? More self-sabotage, am I right? So anyway, he got a bit of a fright too. I didn't yell at him or anything because, as I say, innocent, sweet little bird. I just looked at that beautiful mother of pearl shell and was just like, well, that's fucked. And so I spent, a bit of time. I could technically have glued it back together, but it'll never be the same again. And all the beautiful birds that are carved into it. You know what I've decided? I'll cut it apart. I'll keep the birds. I can cut around them carefully to inlay or to turn into earrings somehow. Recycle, upcycle, reuse. And I got a little wooden box that I bought some time ago, months and months ago, reverse garbage, and wrapped it all in tissue paper, couldn't think of the word, and carefully wrapped it up, put it in there, put a note, a little sign on the front of the box, broken mother of pearl carved shell for upcycling. And then I put it out on my site because otherwise I would have been bloody depressed all day about that. And then after that happened, I thought, oh well, I'll have a go at my coffin. No joy there either. So today has not been a successful day. What do I do when I don't have a successful day and I'm maudlin and I'm distressed and struggling? Read to my YouTube audience and subscribers. So something I can do is read. It's not very much, is it? What have you done with your life, Tanya Aarons? Raised 2 daughters that hate me, had nothing but failed relationships with psychopaths and narcissists and game players and tricksters and sadists. Failed at silversmithing, but that's not fair because sometimes I succeed at silversmithing exhibit A. They were intense and a lot of work. So I'm not always a failure, that's what I have to remind myself. I don't always fail. There are some things I don't succeed at, which are upsetting and disappointing and heartbreaking at times. I had this mad thought and a fit of pique. I thought, oh, it says it'll be rain tomorrow again. By the gods, enough already. Anyway, I had a fit of pique in the afternoon. I thought maybe I should just melt that whole thing down and scrap it. And another part of my psyche said, are you mad, Tanya? You've come this far. It's almost reached completion. You're throwing a tantrum about 2 little gold embellishments. Calm your farm. It's how I know I'm not all that well mentally at the moment when I swing from one extreme to the other of wanting to forge ahead like an intrepid maniac and then totally scrap everything and give up. It's not like me. I'm normally much more stable than that. So I wonder what that's about. Probably exhaustion because I've really pushed hard in recent months and years. Pushed myself very, very hard trying to attain the impossible dream. To dream the impossible dream. To right the unrightable wrong. To go where your heart may not follow. I think that's what it says. To sing the unquenchable song. I'm making up words as I go along. That's what I do. Can never remember the lyrics. For this is my quest, to follow my Lord or whatever, no matter how. Da, 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 da. I'll have to link the song at the bottom of this video because I can't remember shit. Anyway, it's from the man of La Mancha, Don Quixote, who, like me, was master of tilting at windmills and impossible dreams and quests which never brought any fruition. Oh, blessed be Mama T. I love myself even if nobody else does. I mean, I can just see the funny side of it sometimes. Anyway, here we go. Not singing La Man of La Mancha tunelessly and psychotically, and living our best lives. Are we right, people of Earth? So, I'll just put this light on. It's not dark outside, but it's drab and it's feeling dark. I put the birds to bed early. Covered them over and put them to bed. It's like little Bo was already sitting up there sort of snoozing. He's a sweet little boy. Doesn't like me much, but I say he doesn't like me much, but every time I come in the room, I'm working at my bench, he's watching every move I make. But when I get too close to him, he's like wanting to bite me and acting quite agitated. But secretly, I think he likes me. You know, like all my relationships with men. I mean, you have to laugh. My little Bo is acting like all my bows, ambivalent. I was supposed to tame him down, but I'm not really wanting to, tame him too drastically. Kermie's scared of me, won't let me get anywhere near him. At least Bo lets me get close enough to go at me, Oh, it's sweet. It's very sweet. Right, today I'm going to read Animals, Teeth and Claws of the Gods. The hippo crocodile goddess Ta'ot in a sacred procession, shown on the walls of the burying place of the Apis bulls at Saqqara in Egypt. Animals were extremely important in the Egyptian religion, and most of the Egyptian gods were shown in animal forms. As you know, I'm very fond of birds and animals. Right. Early men recognised a close link between themselves and the beasts which they feared, used and admired. I feel like I've read this one before. Have I? Don't know. Carry on. Carry on, people of Earth. They design chocolate. They designed magical rituals to attain the animals' powers, and many animals were elevated to the realms of the gods. Africa is still sometimes troubled by outbreaks of the leopard men, who disguise themselves as leopards with masks and metal claws, pounce on a victim who they kill by piercing the jugular with their claws, and part of whose body they eat. Sounds friendly, not? In India, sacred cows wander the streets unmolested. Long ago, an Egyptian mob murdered a Roman for killing a cat. The early Christians were accused of worshipping a donkey. Norse berserkers in the skins of bears or wolves were feared for their crazed ferocity in battle. Finn MacCumai, Finn McCoy, it's pronounced, I'm not sure. A great Irish hero of legend could turn himself into a deer or a dog at will. So here we have some more examples of atavism. His two faithful hounds were the sons of his sister, who had been magically transformed into a bitch. American Indians often ascribed the creation to trickster animal gods such as coyote on the plains, raven in the northwest, and rabbit in the southeast. In folklore, there are talking animals and animals which marry human husbands or wives. Some animals are said to sense the presence of ghosts. All my pets could do that. It is lucky to see a white horse. A black cat can either be a good luck charm or an omen of evil. The devil frequently appeared in animal form to witches, who were also accused of suckling familiar spirits in animal shape. In South America, sorcerers have jaguar familiars, and African witches are believed to ride on hyenas at night. Interesting. Behind all this is an outlook which does not clearly differentiate between men, animals, spirits, and gods. Primitive man does not draw our accustomed distinction between human beings and animals at all. They share the world with him on his own level, and he admires them, fears them, respects them in a way which is foreign to us in cities or in our long domesticated countryside. They are creatures of the same kind as himself, though differently shaped and in some ways better equipped. So they can turn into men and vice versa. If a man wants to acquire the speed of the deer, the strength of the bear, the cunning of the fox, the night sight of the cat, he imitates the animal. He dresses up in its skin, mimics its cries, dances out its movements. He ruts as a stag, as a leopard he sinks his fangs into flesh. By concentratedly imagining himself as an animal, he can induce a state of mind in which he feels he has become it. The line between man and animal is easily crossed, man being an animal himself. So is the line between animals and the spirit world, because in primitive thought everything that exists has a spirit as well as a body. See animism. Men have souls which survive death, so do animals. And like the ghosts of men, their spirits may be good or evil. The gods, like the animals, have powers which surpass those of men. A god may be seen in an animal which shares some quality with him, and the magical mimicry by which a man turns himself into a beast may also be the magic by which he transforms himself into a god. Haven't met anyone like that in contemporary modern times. Although our celebrities think they're gods, but they're not. Most of them are just, quite frankly, quite idiotic. But shh. That's why I laugh so much when I started going to the Brooklyn Standard regularly in 2023. 25th of August 2023 I started going there, not long after Beauregard's death. And after a few months, I don't know what happened, it was odd, but I had people coming and asking me if I'm a celebrity. And I thought, no love, I'm just me, I'm just Tanya, I'm just here to dance, live my best life. No, a celebrity would say that. It was cute, but it kind of freaked me out because it was like, it was in my horoscope, my astrological chart when I was a child and was 11, that I was destined to be famous in some way or other. And I always thought that was ridiculous even as a child. I was always bullied and othered in childhood, in my 30s, my 40s, my 50s, and even recently. Hardly someone that's a celebrity being bullied and othered. What's famous about that? Being the universal schmuck and shit kicker. Maybe that's what I'm famous for though. Oh, there's an ontological shock. Well, anyway, I'm destined to be famous, but I don't think I'd like it very much. It freaks me out. Strangers coming up to me acting as if I'm more important than they are, or fangirling me as if I'm somebody fabulous. I just look at them and go, what? And then I have to try and remember to be kind, because if I went up to someone that I happened to know was very famous and they brushed me off like I was some idiot, I'd be devastated. So I thought, oh, well, this gives me a bit of a taste of how you have to treat people when they mistakenly think you're some famous person. Just be polite and kind and a bit indulgent, backing my way to the wall going, I don't know what that's about. Famous for what? Doing my mad mosh that, certain people tried to prevent me from doing. Is it because he thought I was getting famous? I don't know. It was odd, wasn't it? The whole thing was odd. I'll never understand any of that. It was all a bit bizarre, people of Earth. But anyway, the mosh continues on my own terms when I feel well enough to go out in the world and do my wild dance. And if people think I'm famous for whatever reason, then that's kind of sweet, but I just don't want to situate. I'd hate to be like famous like Johnny Depp, or who can I think of? Who's one of my favourite actresses? Like those mega. That would be really freaky, having people stalking you and acting weird and turning up in your garden, paparazzi. I'd be like spending my whole time going, fuck off, fuck off, fuck off, and when you get there, fuck off even harder. I really would not handle that at all. So even though it's destined in my astrological chart, doesn't mean I take it seriously, people do. You have to achieve something wonderful, like written a best-selling book, or change society for the better, or wow, that's a work in progress. Dear Goddess. I guess if I am famous, or rather infamous, it's for being one of the few people to dare say, no, hell no, I won't go, and I suggest none of you go along with it either, on social media when the COVID epoch got itself, rolled out. I really was quite adamant about that. So maybe that's what I'm famous for, but even then, there's nothing special in saying no. It's 2 letters. Hell no and no, being defiant and non-compliant. Sometimes it's what you've got to do to survive. It's what you've got to do, people of Earth. Anyway, blessed be to all of us across the globe who fought long and hard for our health, for our body autonomy, and for our measure of freedom. I've got a craving for chippies again, I shouldn't. I've got none left. I'd have to go down the bloody shops. I've got to stop doing that. What am I really craving? Salt. Anyway, we'll continue reading, people of Earth. Man-wallaby. Totemism is a type of social organisation in which groups of people associate themselves closely with an animal or a plant or an object, see totem, as wolfmen, bearmen, or whatever it may be. They use the totem as a badge of identification, much as a feudal knight was identifiable by the emblems on his armour. And the system may have originated from resemblances between a man and a particular animal. But it was evidently not merely a matter of saying of someone, he looks or behaves like a bear, but of implying he is a bear. In Australia, even today, when an Aborigine says he is, for example, wallaby, he means what he says. He and the wallaby species are one flesh. See Australia. Except in special circumstances, he does not kill or eat a wallaby, and he and his group are responsible for carrying out the rituals which ensure a plentiful supply of wallabies for everyone else. This is because he and the wallabies are descended from the same ancestor, a hero of long ago who was both a man and a wallaby. Sacred cat and crocodile. Actually, no, before I begin reading that, I'll just show you these 2 photographs. Above, stone horse guarding imperial tombs at Nanking, China, and right, the prehistoric white horse of Uffington, cut into the Berkshire Downs, possibly a representation of the Celtic goddess Epona, divine horse. So here's the Chinese stone horse at Nanking, China, and here's the Uffington horse, white horse of Uffington, is it? Is that what I just read out? White horse of Uffington in the Berkshire Downs. I've always wanted to see that in real life, but as you can see, you probably can only see it from the drone or from a plane. It looks like it's quite on the side of a cliff almost. Wow. I'm always fascinated by the prehistoric people carving into the landscape and leaving their mark. find it fascinating. Sacred cat and crocodile. Whether totemism lies behind the animal cults of Egypt is disputed, as there is no certain evidence of any totemic stage in Egyptian history. But the importance of animals in Egyptian religion astonished Greek, Roman and early Christian authors and embarrasses Egyptologists. Most, though not all, of the Egyptian gods were portrayed as animals or as human beings with animals' heads or in other mixed human and animal shapes. Sorry, I've got an energy behind me already, and they usually don't step in till I start getting tired of while reading about 1.5 to 2 hours, so they're here early. And wow, we'll just carry on, people. The sky goddess Hathor could be shown as a cow or as a woman's face with the horns and ears of a cow. The goddess Taut, the Great One, had the head of a hippo, the back and tail of a crocodile, a woman's breasts, and the claws of a lioness. Some animals were sacred in particular localities. The people of Bubastis in the Nile Delta, home of the cat goddess Bast, would never kill a cat. In the Fayum, where Sebek, the crocodile god, was worshipped, there was a pool of sacred crocodiles. Huge cemeteries have been discovered containing the mummified bodies of dogs, cats, crocodiles, falcons and bulls. Recent excavations at Saqqara have found traces of a cemetery of mummified baboons who were given names and apparently venerated as gods. All cats were divine in Bubastis, but in other instances only one animal of the species embodied a god. At Memphis, the Apis bull lived in splendour as the herald of Ptah, a god who was not himself represented as a bull, but always in human form. When the bull died, a calf with the special markings which identified it as the successor had to be found. For 40 days the calf was attended by women who at intervals displayed their sexual organs to him. Then he was brought by boat to Memphis, his cabin lined with gold. Gold and sexual female genitalia. Not a bad way to be worshipped, I guess, if you're a masculine calf. I told you a calf to be. Donna. Okay, I'm being facetious now. Anyway, funny though. Funny as. The prominence of animals in Egyptian religion was not merely a tolerated survival from more primitive times. Their cults aroused genuine devotion and were costly of time, trouble, and money. In the 4th century BC, the funeral of one Apis bull was so expensive that the funds set aside for it were used up, and it was necessary to borrow an extra amount equivalent to £25,000 in modern money by the gods. Henri Frankfurt has commented that there is something altogether peculiar about the meaning which animals possessed for the Egyptians. Elsewhere, in Africa or North America, for example, it seems that either the terror of animal strength or the broad bond, the mutual dependence of man and beast in the case of cattle cults, for instance, explains animal worship. But in Egypt, the animal as such, irrespective of its specific nature, seems to possess religious significance. And the significance was so great that even the mature speculation of later times rarely dispensed with animal forms in plastic or literary images referring to the gods. Animal and God. One theory of animal gods is that the god is first worshipped as an animal and later acquires human characteristics. His human nature grows gradually more important until he becomes fully human, though the animal often retains a connection with him and is sacred to him. But in many cases, no such evolutionary pattern can be demonstrated. For Egyptian deities, for instance, or for Celtic gods. For example, the Celtic god Cernunnos, the Horned One, who was closely connected with the stag and also with a peculiar ram-horned serpent, appears as part stag or serpent and part human in both the earliest and the latest representations of him. Again, although the symbolism of an animal and its connection with a particular god naturally tend to be based on its own most striking characteristics, the symbolism and the origin of the connection are not always clear. Wolves, as fierce predators, are associated with war gods, like the Roman Mars or the Teutonic Tyr or Tyre, but also with the Greek god Apollo, who was not a war god. The inquisitive and chattering baboon seems well suited to Thoth, the Egyptian god of intelligent inquiry who invented speech. But whether this is the correct explanation, and whether, if it is, the ape was connected with the god because it embodied part of his nature, or the other way round, its connection with him for some other reason influenced later ideas of his nature is uncertain. Immortal snake. One beast which has taken a firm grip on the human imagination is the serpent. It was thought to have found the secret of avoiding death because it sloughs its old skin and appears rejuvenated in a new one. And so in myths like the Babylonian epic of Gilgamesh, it steals the immortality which the gods had meant for man. This may have been its original role in the story of Adam and Eve, see First Man. The Eden story later gave the serpent its connection with the devil, a connection assisted by the snake's phallic shape, which linked it with lust and also with fertility. Some snakes were seen to live in holes in the ground or to appear from crannies in rocks, which connected them with the earth, with fertility again, and with the underworld and the dead. In Mesopotamia, the Sumerian and Babylonian goddesses of the underworld were identified as serpents. In Greece, this probably explains why Sybil came to live with me for 12 days from Halloween to Remembrance Day. It was a bit odd, but she was indeed shedding her skin. Right. She was a lovely creature. We eventually bonded in a weird symbiotic kind of way. Not that I would have gone and touched her or invited her to drape herself around my neck or anything. I'm not all that fond of snakes, but it was amazing the love that developed between us. Very, very, very potent and unusual. That's all I have to say about that. She was a signpost of what was to come. In Greece, sacred snakes were one of the marks of an underground god or spirit. Honey cakes were offered to them. The Fijian god Ndenge is a giant snake who lives in a cave, and when he moves, the earth quakes. The cult of the house snake offered milk and breadcrumbs and addressed as master of the house is not entirely dead in Greece even yet. There are many shrines of snake gods in India, and python gods were common in Africa until this century, and I have a Nagakanye in brass on my front door, half mermaid, half serpent, half angel, half serpent. Well, I think she's kind of a mermaid. She's a guardian of the underworld in the Hindu religion. The plumed serpent appears in ancient Mexican religions, and snakes, especially rattlesnakes, in the myths and rituals of North American Indians. I had to wash my hair last night. I was in the bath having an Epsom salt bath because my arthritis, my hands were so sore from working all day yesterday. They're still sore today actually, very sore. So a hot bath might help ease everything. And then I realised my hair was quite oily, probably from the stress of being busy for days, the last couple of days. So I washed my hair while I was in the bath, and then I felt moderately better, but got to bed and couldn't bloody sleep, which is annoying. Right. Bull and boar. The bull is another important beast in the history of religions, impressive for its strength, its pawing hoof and fierce charge, and its formidable sexual powers. Enlil, the great Babylonian god of fertility and storm, was addressed as overpowering ox, exalted overpowering ox. Gods of thunder, storm and rain, which fertilizes the earth, were often pictured as bulls. In India, the Aryan sky god Dyaus, the red bull who smiles through the clouds, bellows downwards, which evidently means thunders, and later several Hindu gods have bull forms. Mithras, the Persian god of light, whose cult rivaled Christianity in the early centuries AD, was connected with the bull, In Crete, the spectacular and lethal sport of bull leaping was a religious ritual. The first Minos, or bull king of Crete, had been begotten by Zeus in the form of a bull, and the bull was connected with the noise and destruction of earthquakes. The horns of the bull, as of other horned animals like the stag, were widely regarded as peculiarly sacred and powerful. Celtic mythology abounds with sacred boars, magic pigs which reappear whole after being killed and eaten, and fearsome supernatural boars which are hunted by heroes. In Welsh legend, King Arthur and his men hunted Twrch, I can't pronounce it, Twrch and TrwYth, Trith. All the Welsh people are like, gee Tanya. Well, I can't help it that I don't speak Welsh. A king who had been turned into a boar for the treasures, a comb and shears which he carried between his ears. Pork was the meat on which chieftains feasted in northern Europe, as did warriors after death in Valhalla, and the Celts buried pig's bones and joints of pork for the dead. But elsewhere, as among Jews and Mohammedans, pig's flesh has been considered unclean and forbidden. Just going to go back because there was a little insert that I didn't read to you, so we will complete this task. The front rank of nature. To primitive man, nature is his living larder to which, especially at the lowest stages of culture, he has to repair directly in order to gather, cook and eat when hungry. The road from the wilderness to the savage's belly and consequently to his mind is very short, and for him the world is an indiscriminate background against which there stand out the useful, primarily the edible species of animals or plants. A sentiment of social nature is built round each species, a sentiment which naturally finds its expression in folklore, belief and ritual. The same type of impulse which makes small children delight in birds, take a keen interest in animals, and shrink from reptiles, places animals in the front rank of nature for primitive man. By the general affinity with man, they move, utter sounds, manifest emotions, have bodies and faces like him, and by their superior powers, the birds fly in the open, the fishes swim underwater, reptiles renew their skins and their life and can disappear in the earth. By all this, the animal, the intermediate link between man and nature, often his superior in strength, agility and cunning, usually his indispensable quarry, assumes an exceptional place in the savage's view of the world. Written by Bronislaw Malinowski, Magic, Science and Religion. Right, we'll carry on. Before we carry on, I'll just show you these pictures. Far left, many Indian gods have animal incarnations. Vishnu as a boar from the 17th century processional chariot. and left. The Minotaur of ancient fable was a man with a bull's head who lurked in the Cretan labyrinth. There is a labyrinth in the heart of every man, and to each comes the day when he must reach the centre and meet the Minotaur, Mary Renaud, the last of the Y. And write part of a mural showing the old Mexican myth of a battle between the gods, Tezcatlipoca, the jaguar, standing for night and death, and Huitzilopochtli, the eagle, standing for day and life. So here we have the Cretan Minotaur, and let me just try and get it to focus. Sort of, kind of, but not really. Oh yeah. Sun Chariot. The horse-taming nomads. Mustang Quay. Some idiot's always wanting to tame me. Sorry, I just had to segue there. Grinds my gears. But anyway, the horse-taming nomads of southern Russia, who spread into northern Europe, Greece, the Middle East, and India in successive waves over a period of hundreds of years after circa 2000 BC, connected their swift and powerful stallions with the sun and imagined the sun crossing the sky in a horse-drawn chariot. The Celtic war god was closely associated with horses, perhaps because of the use of horse chariots in battle. And in France and Britain, the Celtic goddess Epona, divine horse, was popular with the cavalrymen of Roman armies. Freyr, the fertility god of the Vikings, was linked with both the boar and the horse. No one would dare tame Freyr either. Just saying. Gentlemen of Earth, know your place in the cosmos, as do I, believe it or not. Right. The animal and man. The sacred horses of Freyr illustrate one of the reasons for sacrificing an animal to a god, which is simply to give him a good meal. In the 10th century AD, a Christian king of Norway, Olaf Tryggvason, went to Trondheim and seized a stallion which was about to be sacrificed for Freyr to eat. But there is another and deeper motive, for the slaughtered animal may be believed to embody the god, and the worshipper who eats its flesh eats the god, if only temporarily and partially. He becomes the god. See food and drink. In the savagely orgiastic worship of Dionysus, the lines between animal, man and god were spectacularly crossed. Dionysus was described as mad and raving. His worshippers, who were predominantly women, went out to the mountainside dressed in the skins of fawns, some of them suckling young animals at the breast, baby deer perhaps, or wolf cubs. As they sang and danced, they felt a strange excitement. They began to run, finding in themselves superhuman energy and strength, until in frenzy they hunted down animals, wild or tame, and tore them to pieces alive, gnawing at the raw flesh. Yuck, can't stand my meat raw, or even medium rare, or even medium. I'm going to have meat has to be cooked well done, people of Earth. They behaved, in fact, as if they were animals in animal skins, suckling their young or tearing their prey. In the release of fierce animal passion, their god possessed them, and it seems that the animals they hunted embodied Dionysus himself, so that, torn and devoured, he became one with his worshippers. The same principle that by imitating an animal and giving free rein to the animal elements in his nature, a man can reach a state of frenzied intoxication which breaks the chains that bind him to his human condition and makes him a sharer in the divine, appears in... I've just had an epiphany on what to do if I can't get the gold to solder down. Drill a hole through the middle of it and rivet it on. Ha! That's cheating, isn't it? But what a brilliant idea. Thank you, Angel. If all else fails, I may do that. I may have to do that. You see, it's funny what comes to me when my mind's shut off doing other things. Right, where were we in the middle of that? I just got this flash of inspiration. The same principle that by imitating an animal and giving free rein to the animal elements in his nature, a man can reach a state of frenzied intoxication which breaks the chains that bind him to his human condition and makes him a sharer in the divine, appears in many other parts of the world. It lies behind the pagan European customs of dancing in animal costumes and masks, which the Church tried to suppress and which have been preserved or revived in existing folk ceremonies. The Liber Ponentialis of Theodore, Archbishop of Canterbury in the 7th century, forbids people to dress up as stags or bulls or to put on the heads of beasts on the first day of January. Wonder if they forbid it for the rest of the year then. Just odd, people of Earth. Anyway, all creatures, great and small. Medieval Christianity had its animal symbolism too. The lamb and the fish stood for Christ, the dove for the Holy Ghost, the sheep for the righteous, the goats for the wicked. Animals were carved in profusion in churches, not only as pleasing decorations, but because God made them all, and in each of them could be seen something of the mind of the Creator. The man, the lion, the ox, and the eagle, which stood for the authors of the 4 Gospels, also showed that the complete Christian must be a man for reason, a lion for courage, an ox for sacrifice, and an eagle for contemplation. In the bestiaries, fables of animals taken from pagan authors were given Christian interpretations, like the fable of the male elephant, an animal in its sagacity so totally uninterested in sex that he would mate only when the female gave him the aphrodisiac mandrake plant to eat. The elephants were interpreted as Adam and Eve in Eden, the mandrake as the forbidden fruit. Not until Eve gave Adam the fruit did he know sexual desire, and the result was the expulsion from paradise. In the habits of the elephant, God had painted the lesson of the fall for men to see and understand. I wonder if that's true, that elephants need help with their sexuality. It's just a story, I'm sure. I don't think that's true. I've seen lots of baby elephants. They must be doing something to create little baby elephants. I don't think they'd even know what a mandrake plant was either, to be honest. It's a bit of an odd story, isn't it? By the gods. Anyway, where were we? Having ontological shock, as I do from time to time, to think about things. Astrology and magic. The European magical tradition, also seeing the universe as a logical design and interested in the underlying links connecting it together, makes much play with animal symbolism. Most of the signs of the zodiac are named for animals, and traditional popular astrological lore is increasingly totemistic, in the sense that people are supposed to have the characteristics of their zodiac animal. Those born under Capricorn, the goat, are told that they butt away obstacles and leap over difficulties, like goats bounding from crag to crag. Those born under Leo, the lion, are commanding and powerful, like the king of beasts, and have fine heads of hair, manes, and large handwriting, paw marks. In magic, an animal is used for its own inherent occult qualities or because of its links with supernatural forces. If we would call any evil spirit to the circle, says the fourth book added to Agrippa's occult philosophy, but probably not written by him, it first behoveth us to consider and to know his nature, to which of the planets it agreeth. It describes the forms in which the spirits may show themselves, including a she-goat, camel, and dove, for spirits connected with Venus, a horse or a stag for those of Mars, a cow or a goose for spirits of the moon. Other magical textbooks give similar descriptions, following the tradition which goes back to ancient Mesopotamia that demons appear in animal forms. The purpose is to help the magician to understand the nature of the spirit or demon which he attempts to summon up and master. Its animal symbols and characteristics contribute to a vivid mental picture of it, on which the magician concentrates during the ceremony in which it is conjured up. Behind this is the old magical belief that to imagine supernatural power in its appropriate animal or other form is to be possessed by it, to become it, to control it. Further reading. There is much interesting material in J.G. Fraser, The Golden Bough, though not all Fraser's conclusions are now accepted. Also in Mircea Eliade, Patterns in Comparative Religion. For the Celts, see Anne Ross, Pagan Celtic Britain. For Egypt, Henri Frankfort, Ancient Egyptian Religion. For the Bull, J.R. Conrad, The Horn and the Sword. And I'm going to stop there, people of Earth. I'm very tired. I need to go and get something to eat. I was going to cook a nice spaghetti bolognese type dish. You know, it's not a real bolognese because we don't have pork and things, but you know, a mincy type tomato-y, vegetable-y dish. I can't be asked. I'm tired. I'm going to go down and get a treat. I'm going to get my Paradise pack from Metro Chicken, which is fattening but delicious and satiating. So I'm going to treat myself to that. I feel quite drained and wrung out, probably because of disappointment over that cuff again. But on we go, and I'll brighten up again, no doubt, if I have a good night's sleep tonight. I'll feel better, and if not, the unravelling will begin. Well, my beautiful people of planet Earth, wherever you are, have a beautiful day, afternoon, evening, in the space-time continuum. And as always, blessed be from Titania's realm, sacred space. Bye for now. If I can get my mouse to work. Bye.